There is a peculiar social behaviour that rarely gets named, yet many people recognise it in themselves. Instead of asking directly, they run quiet experiments on those around them. They delay replying to see if the other person will double text. They tell a slightly vague story to see if a friend will ask for more. They mention a slight disappointment and hope the partner will try to mend it. On the surface, it looks casual, even forgetful. Beneath it, it is forensic. Each small moment becomes data. Do you notice me? Do you prioritise me? Do you choose me when it is inconvenient? This is the psychology of people who secretly test everyone. It is not always malicious. More often, it is an anxious attempt to make relationships verifiable, to turn affection into proof. But the irony is apparent. The more they test, the less natural the connection feels, and the more likely others are to fail a test they didn't know they were taking. Behind it lies a simple fear. If I do not check, I might be loving someone who would not stay. And if they would not wait, I want to know early. People who secretly test others aim to gather proof of care without revealing their own need for it. A secret test is an interaction designed to answer an unspoken question. Will you notice? Will you repair? Will you choose me when it costs you something? Instead of saying, I want to feel important to you, they create a small scenario where importance must reveal itself naturally. This is the central aspect of this style of relating. It seeks to make attachment measurable without the tester appearing needy or dependent. Testing is not the same as healthy boundary setting or direct communication. When someone states a need, they provide the other person with clear terms. I like faster replies. I want to be involved in plans. I appreciate follow-up. The other individual can accept or reject these, but the rules are transparent. In secret testing, however, the rules are private. The other person is judged by criteria they have never been told. That is why partners and friends often find this pattern confusing, unfair, or slightly manipulative. They are not refusing to care. They are being judged by a rule book that was never given to them. These tests manifest in very ordinary ways. Someone delays a reply to see if the other person will double text. Someone mentions feeling a bit down and circles back later. Someone leaves plans half defined to see who cares enough to pin them down. Someone shares a vulnerable detail and quietly tracks whether it is remembered. Someone tells a story in an unfinished way to see if the listener asks for more. None of these behaviours appears extreme, but each one has a correct answer in the tester's mind. What the tester is truly measuring is priority and emotional availability. Do you notice quickly? Do you act without being instructed? Do you keep me in mind even when I am not in front of you? Do you remember what I said yesterday? Do you correct a mistake without me needing to ask? Passing the test shows that the relationship is alive, without the tester needing to insist on its vitality. Failing the test, in their view, indicates that the bond was weaker than it appeared to be. For the person who tests, this feels safer than saying, I was scared you wouldn't show up. They can maintain their image of self-sufficiency while still collecting evidence. However, the safety is only partial. Because the test is secret, even a loving response cannot fully soothe the underlying insecurity. There is always scope to say, they didn't really know. So the person keeps creating new situations to monitor, turning normal relationships into a series of small examinations. To understand why someone relies on secret tests, you need to consider where they learned that love was unstable. Many people who do this did not grow up with consistent, clearly expressed reassurance. Affection was present, but it was unpredictable, conditional, or easily withdrawn. A parent was warm when the child performed, distant when the child needed too much, attentive one week and preoccupied the next. In such an environment, the child begins scanning. They learn to read microsignals, predict moods, and search for hidden rules. A secret test in adulthood is that childhood vigilance continues. I don't trust what you say. I trust what you do when you don't know I'm watching. There is also the issue of shame. If, deep down, I suspect I am not worth being chosen, then every relationship becomes a potential confirmation of that belief. I listen for the moment you prove me right. A secret test allows me to create that moment. I can set up a situation where you either overperform and ease my insecurity, or underperform, and I can say, see, I knew it. That is the cruel utility of these tests. They can protect self-esteem regardless of the outcome. If the other person passes, I gain proof that I matter. If they fail, I gain evidence that people are unreliable, not that I am unworthy. Control is another key function. Explicitly stating a need leaves you vulnerable to rejection. If I say, I want you to text me when you get home, and you don't, then I face rejection openly. If I don't tell you, but secretly observe to see if you will do it, I can maintain my dignity. I can label you inattentive without revealing how much I desired the attention. Testing allows one to wield power without exposing oneself. It keeps the tester in the role of evaluator. They become the one judging, not the one asking. Past betrayals strengthen this pattern. If someone has been cheated, abandoned, or routinely deprioritized, they may come to believe that people reveal their true loyalty only under pressure. Ordinary days do not show who someone truly is. Only minor crises do. So they create little crises. They go quiet to see if they will be pursued. They mention a problem and wait to see who follows up the next day. They tell two friends slightly different versions of a story to see who repeats it. It is detective work born from disappointment. Attachment theory helps explain this. People with anxious or disorganized attachment styles often switch between craving closeness and fearing dependence. Testing becomes a compromise. It lets them pursue closeness while pretending not to. It also enables them to watch for withdrawal before it becomes disastrous. But it has a downside. It triggers the other person's insecurity. Few people feel at ease when they sense unseen standards are judging them. Finally, there is a cultural layer. Many of us learn that if you have to ask, it doesn't count. Romance stories reward mind reading. Families value children who just know what to do. In those settings, asking directly is seen as needy or unsophisticated. As a result, people enter adulthood with the belief that genuine care must be spontaneous. Secret testing aligns with that belief, aiming to elicit unprompted care. The problem is that adult mutual relationships usually need clarity, not mind reading, and the very strategy intended to make love safe can quietly weaken it. In adulthood, this pattern rarely appears dramatic. It manifests in small, repeatable scenes. In romantic relationships, the person who tests often creates tiny gaps to see whether the partner will move towards them. They respond a little slower than usual to see if the partner remains engaged. They mention spending time with someone else to observe whether there is any jealousy, not because they want a fight, but because jealousy feels like proof of worth. They forget to confirm a plan to see if the partner will check in. Each of these moments seems ordinary on the surface, but for the tester, it is a measure. Do you notice my distance? Do you repair without prompting? Do you signal that I matter? In friendships, it appears quieter. Someone goes silent for a few days to see who notices. They share good news and quietly monitor who celebrates and who just reacts. They hint at being overwhelmed without asking for help to see who offers assistance anyway. They tell the same story to two friends to see who listens more deeply. If the response is not what they hoped for, they rarely admit that a test took place. Instead, they simply adjust their internal ranking of that friend. Over time, this can make their social world seem full, but not truly trusted, because people are being assessed rather than genuinely met. In families, testing often revolves around prioritization. An adult child might delay calling to see if a parent follows up. A sibling may withhold information to see who is paying attention. Someone who grew up feeling unseen might stage a small withdrawal to see if the family now comes after them. The question remains the same as in childhood. If I cease doing the emotional labour here, will anyone reach out to me? Or was I always the replaceable one? There is also a social and professional version. A manager gives minimal guidance to see which employee cares enough to clarify. A colleague floats a half-formed idea to see who publicly supports them. Someone posts online and then monitors a few specific accounts to decide who is for them. These are not always conscious power plays, they are habits learned by someone who has figured out how to watch people without letting those people know they are being watched. The paradox is that these secret tests often create the very distance the tester is seeking evidence against. When people feel unseen, standards are judging them, their spontaneity decreases. They become cautious, literal, and less warm. The tester then interprets the cooling as a lack of love or loyalty, which justifies further testing. The relationship falls into a cycle of hidden expectations and muted responses. Trust diminishes, not because anyone was openly hostile, but because the rules of connection were never openly communicated. From the other side, it feels like walking through a room full of invisible tripwires. The person is friendly, but there's a faint sense of being judged. You never know which gesture will count or which omission will be remembered. Sometimes the test is designed so you can't fully succeed. If you pursue, you're considered too much. If you don't, you're seen as not invested. That double bind causes anxiety and eventually exhaustion. Instead of relaxing into the relationship, they start managing it. Over time, many people decide that the safest move is to keep their distance, and the tester interprets that distance as confirmation that people do not stay. Secret tests are usually driven by caution, not cruelty. They are the nervous system's way of saying, "Show me this is real," without asking explicitly. The person aims to make love measurable, repeatable, and safe. However, relationships do not flourish in laboratories. When every gesture becomes a trial, people cease offering gestures. What was meant to protect the bond ends up weakening it. The underlying wish is reasonable. I want to feel secure, that I won't be abandoned. The approach is where it fails. Hidden criteria prevent the other person from genuinely meeting you. They also prevent you from making proper choices after being fully seen. Directness may seem riskier at first, but is the only way intimacy can prove itself over time. A love that relies solely on secret tests never truly reaches its full potential. It is uncomfortable to admit. I need reassurance, especially for people raised to appear self-contained, so they rely on these improvised tests instead of directly acknowledging it. Naming the need would end the guessing game and eliminate the traps, allowing two adults to decide whether they genuinely want to support each other. That is, in fact, the more honest approach.